Breaking Down the Law is sponsored by Battle-Born Injury Lawyers.
Hey, and we do it every Wednesday with our friend Matt Hoffmann here. We try to take cases that are going on, cases that are happening in the headlines, and apply it to Nevada law and maybe how it might impact you. So, all right, we are talking about annoying neighbors. Do you have one? Don't tell us. They might find out. So, all right, Matthew, we're going to talk a little bit about this because here's a case that came up recently. So you have this Australian woman who filed a suit against her neighbor because of the smell that was caused by grilling meat and fish in their yard. And so she's a vegan, and she claimed that the smell was interfering with the enjoyment of her personal property.
Sure.
So let's talk about where this lawsuit went, because ultimately, I understand it was dismissed.
Yeah, it was dismissed.
Okay.
She appealed. That was dismissed. She said she's going to continue to pursue legal action. I'm not familiar with Australian law.
Okay.
Yes.
But
what this sounds like here under Nevada law would be a nuisance lawsuit.
okay, there you go.
So under Nevada law, anything that interferes with your health or with your overall enjoyment of your private property that's caused by an adjoining property or nearby property, you can claim that to be a nuisance.
Got it.
So this would be an example potentially of a claim that it's a nuisance.
Well, but what threshold would it have to meet? Like, what are some of the things you have to keep in mind if you're trying to get to that point?
Yeah, so I mean, first and foremost, just because she's a vegan doesn't mean that all of a sudden you as a neighbor can't grill.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be more
Got
than
it.
that. I mean,
Got it.
you could get sued for it to be frivolous. But, so if you have a neighbor that, let's say, is constantly billowing smoke from cooking into your yard.
Okay.
So all of a sudden, the roadkill grill opens up in somebody's backyard.
Okay.
And they're
Got
just
it.
constantly smoking meat and it's pouring in and you can't enjoy yourself.
Okay.
You would have an action to seek an injunction from the court to stop them from that.
Got it.
And again, this is a private nuisance law. Other examples would be dust. So when you go in the Northwest, for example, some people have horse stables.
Right.
So let's say you have a lot of horses, you have a yard where people are riding and you're creating all kinds of dust and it's constant, continuous. It's getting dust all over your property. That could be deemed a nuisance.
Interesting.
And you could file a suit. Where it's, some of the stories that have, in the last few years would be like Airbnbs.
Yeah.
So I know that there was a house in a nice neighborhood that was an Airbnb and it basically turned into a never-ending bachelor party.
Oh boy.
Constantly being rented out,
Yeah.
marijuana smoke pouring in,
Okay.
Lights, wild stuff.
So it's crazy and it's a nuisance.
Yeah, again, constant, continuous interference with your property and your enjoyment of your property.
Okay.
Maybe the Griswolds move in next door and this Christmas display is just, insane and you can't sleep at night. Believe it or not, that would be grounds to, if they won't do it. And maybe you don't have an HOA, you can go to the court and say, hey, can you please tell them to shut off their lights after 7 o'clock?
Okay, interesting. I like the Griswold example.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. And Christmas will be here before you know it.
Yes,
so,
it will.
All right, so now you said there's also a difference between private versus public.
Okay,
so let's make that distinction.
Yeah, so the private nuisance laws are the things I've mentioned.
Of course.
Other examples would be like, a development wants to put up like a wind turbine or something and people object. Or there's construction and they want to put a temporary road through and it's going to create noise and dust. Public nuisance is just illegal and criminal. That would be like you're running a brothel without a license. You're running a gambling operation without a license. That could be a misdemeanor, up to 6 months in jail and fines. But as far as the grilling and your neighbors, that's private nuisance law.
Okay.
And it has to be more than just offending you occasionally.
Got it. So you basically have to be running, like you said, the roadkill grill in your
Yes,
backyard.
exactly.
That amount of smoke, copious amounts of smoke.
Copious.
In order to meet that threshold there. Very good. Well, this is an interesting case. You always bring us some very interesting stories and examples at that. So we appreciate that, Matt. Hey, we definitely do this every Wednesday. So join us next Wednesday where we will tackle another topic and then pick his brain to find out how it applies to us here in Nevada. Appreciate you, Matt.
Yes, thank you.
All right.